All right, so we're going in. Project 4. I could have gone to the project folder in Project 4, but I know it's probably, yeah, it's my most recent project in here. So I'm just going to go right to that and open it right here in my recent projects. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to think if we did, wait, this one doesn't, so this must be a copy. Project 5, it's this one. There, that has the music. Okay, I was wondering. I must have duplicated that before I added the music. Right, so we should, yeah, so we did the countdown, we faded to black and everything the other night. We added the music. We can play it, I'm just going to play it through one time so everybody can see it.
As a freshman, when I came into high school, I knew how to do nothing. All I knew was like pick up a camera and go shoot something and have fun with it.
So they still have to capture more B-roll, or they have enough?
As the years went on, I got to come in the studio, use some of the TV stuff we have. We got to use the digital cameras. We actually got to use mixers, audio board, and stuff like that. And that actually deepened my interest in television, and then it just kept on building. In today's world, I mean, technology has expanded exponentially, and there's a lot of things you can do right now. You know, during the old days, you had to go home, watch the TV to know what the news is about, go in and read the newspaper. You know, but you know, in the near future, people are going to have news on their telephones. Well, they already do. You know, video iPods. You know, cell phone news. Pretty much everything's going to be on the internet. What I do is a team effort, and I want all of us to come out on top at the same time.
My backyard ends and the county connector starts. Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
So aside from the technical techniques that we covered, the split edits, the unlinking, being careful about unsyncing and syncing and B-roll and A-roll and the music and the mix, it's also the idea, you know, here is, we do have a sense of story, right? We can kind of see him planning with his teacher. So that does not get us, you know, you always have to focus about that sense of beginning, middle, and end, right? So if you're even doing anything like this, which you're welcome to, you know, you just, you know, we establish him, we show him in the class, and of course we have some sort of like sense of ending shot where they're walking away, like, you know, they're done with the day, they fade out, etc. So anyway, just some context on that. All right, so we're going to save this. I guess we looks like I already rendered. If you have not rendered, then go ahead and mark that sequence, right? With your playhead marking in and out. It looks like I only have to render that very end, but you might have to render the whole thing. So let's just go sequence, render in to out. It should be a pretty quick render, even if you have the whole thing, because first off, we don't have a lot of video effects. We don't have a lot of keyframing, and that alters those clips a lot. So that can take time. Here, we pretty much didn't really change anything. The only keyframes we did were on audio. Okay, so now we're completely rendered. I'll give everybody a second in case their render is taking a little bit longer. And talking about exporting is a very broad term in this context, because we're getting, on one basic level, we're getting out of Premiere, so everybody, we can share it with everybody on different platforms, etc. Right? And as we know, we have specific presets for YouTube, and then when you go through into the export window, you have also other specific presets, codecs, so to speak, for all the other platforms, social platforms, etc. All right. So we're save here. I'm saving again. I generally just kind of like bring my playhead at the very beginning. It's probably just superstition, right? So I'm still marking it, right? Because I don't want to export, like if you had your out over here, okay? And you should probably know this. For example, I have this extra black. It's going to export all that extra black, right? And if you don't have a clear in and out, and when you export, if you don't define the area that you want to really export, it will add a whole bunch of black. So I always mark it in and out. I don't know if I've been, I don't know if I've emphasized this before. Let me go to the back here, go end, there it is. I go like one more frame. Okay, I'm going to resize, there it is, save again, bring my playhead very back to beginning. All right, so now we'll go export. And we've been using the YouTube preset because we've been primarily working in HD. So make sure you've got it named correctly. First initial, last name, underscore P4, underscore summer 2025. And go into your project for exports. I did a little test export earlier, right? So you should be right in your project 4 folder. Go into your export folder. All right, and then you said save. And now we're going to set the preset. So let's pretend we were still back at YouTube, right? And what's going to happen there is if you do a YouTube export, it's going to stretch out those pixels, right? Because this only has 720. You can see, well, you can see the source here in the lower left-hand corner, kind of in the middle source, middle left, right? So you're going to blow those pixels up twice, more than twice, and that's probably going to have, it's going to give you like a low resolution, even though it looks like it's going to interpret still with the 24 frames, right? So we're going to go preset here. I'm going to click that little down arrow, and we're going to go down to more presets. And when you do this, you can see everything, right? There's, this is one of the reasons, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but better late than better late than never. This is one of the reasons Premiere has also been very, very successful, because it just plays with everything, and you can also use it to convert almost any format into almost every other format that's used, and they keep adding codecs and stuff here. Right, so we're going to do a match source, right? So you can just type it in, which basically finds match source. And actually, I think that came up. Match source, rewrap. Yeah, we're going to come down to match source adaptive high bit rate, which is going to give you the best quality of those. Bit rate is equivalent basically to resolution quality, right? So an adaptive high bit rate, without getting too into it, it sort of adjusts to what it needs. As to a more set bit rate, it just kind of sets the bit rate and does it. I won't get too into it, but let's go match source adaptive high bit rate, right? Select that, hit OK, and you can see over the bit rate is go variable bit rate, which means it kind of it can increase it where it needs it, as opposed to a more high bit rate. Let's see, this also does that, but you can see the target over here on the right, 10 megabits per second. The adaptive high bit rate is 15.20 megabits per second. That's higher, that's better quality, right? So I'm going to go with that adaptive high bit rate. Okay. all right? And it actually is still using the H.264, which is great because it also keeps the file size small. So here's your source, and then you have your output here. And remember, this is 24 frames, so it's 23.97, not like 29.97, which was 30, right? So it's all set. And you've got the location, you've got the source, and just go ahead and hit export. And then it will do it pretty quick. And if you were, for example, taking HD down to like 720 for whatever reason, you're not only exporting, you're also converting it. You're changing the format, you're changing the source code into something different. So that's another thing that happens when you're converting stuff. It takes a little longer. So you can see this is pretty quick. And this was about a minute and a half, right? So check your export and just make sure it's clean. I'll let you check that. I'm just going to do a quick spot check on it, but play it through all the way through before you send it in, before you share it, to make sure it's clean. That's 636. That's the one I just spit out now. Right? So make sure it's clean, and you make sure you've got both audio tracks, etc.
School, and you had to do nothing. As a freshman, when I came into high school,
Got the
knew
music.
nothing. All I knew was like pick up the camera, go shoot something, and have fun with it.
Do they still have to capture more B-roll, or they have enough?
And as the years went on,
Okay, so
we got to use the camera, and then it just kept on building. In today's world,
all right, so obviously I have my track 1, track 2, the music, etc. Again, that was just a super quick spot check. All right. So there you have it. In here, sorry. Okay, no problem. All right, so Zan is here. Let me put him in. All right, always want to check your work. I have to check my work every day because if there's a problem in my piece, thousands, millions of people see that problem. That's not good. Let's see, where are we here? Okay. All right, did that make sense? Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward, I think. All right, I'm just trying to open this Excel spreadsheet. Okay, got it. Okay, all right. Let's keep going here. Okay, so go ahead and close that out. You don't have to exit Premiere, right? Just go up to File, Close Project, so you can stay in Premiere, right? Close out that. And let's go back to New Project and do our exercise for tonight. Okay? All right, so I'll do exercise, what's tonight? 6, 26, 25. And
You're sharing your screen,
oh,
Professor.
I'm not sharing. But you guys know what to do here, but I'll share anyway. Bring this down. Where am I? Am I not in here? Oh, I must have not. Oh, sorry. New project. Here we go. Exercise. 6, 26, 25. And make sure your location, you can see right now, this is going to save it in my project file, which I don't want to do. Oh, there's my exercises, the recent places that I save, I create, boom, boom. Okay. So yeah, we have the usual project panel, effects panel, motion effects panel, program, and the timeline. Okay, Hang on a second here. Hang on. No, let's do that. There you go. So I can fit everybody in there. Okay. So let's go ahead and create a sequence. Oh, sorry. What happens is I work all day in a different program, and sometimes I have to switch my hat. So in my normal program, I go new sequence. Actually, I can do it here too. But it's not showing up. I don't know why it's not there. It should be sequence. There it is. Anyway, Control N. Anyway, but I usually use it down here. So let's go HD, right? The second folder. We'll just keep it simple. 29, 1080p, etc. Okay. There's our sequence. Just call it exercise. Okay. And what I want to show you tonight is one of the other video effects where you can create, you can experiment a little bit with some titling if you want, right? Aside from having to go into graphics, the graphic templates, or if you're not working with Photoshop and that kind of stuff. So this is another type of keying. So let's go ahead and create a title, right? So I'm going to click in my timeline in my sequence. Let's do a Control T or Command T, which will give you a text layer, right? There it is down in my timeline. I'm going to blow that up a little bit, magnify that a little bit, right? I have it here. Let's go ahead and move it up to track 2, right? And then let's just go ahead and grab that, and we're going to name, I'm going to expand this. We want this title to be as big as we can, make it fit. So I'm going to double click in there, and let's call it The Big Show. The Big, and go do the big and then show below it. Just enter. And then right click for your edit properties, right? Okay. Might have to resize some of your windows a little bit here, right? And I'm going to slide down here and let's center that up, right? So it sort of justifies in the center. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my selection tool again so I can bring it back over and go ahead and drag it out, make it pretty big. And then we're going to find a nice thick font, because what we're going to do is we're going to shoot an image through the face of this text. Okay. Let's see, where's the fonts? There they are. And I found one earlier that was pretty good. Let's look for, let's type in wide Latin, right? So click on that. So obviously it's a little bigger, so we have to sort of like scale that down, right? I'm going to scale that down so it can sort of fit in our text. You can also drag it here, right? A lot of ways to do that. Okay. And then let's go ahead and stretch it vertically, right? Which you can do here. Where is it? Yeah, we drag down to some of the properties here, position, scale, and you've got that little set lock, so you can deselect that, and now you can adjust only, that's the horizontal, you can only adjust the vertical, right? So bring it out, just try to fill as much as that title safe area as you can. And then let me go back up here so we can adjust the, okay, graphic folks, I've been calling this leading or letting. Does anybody know what's the actual pronunciation on this? Is it leading or letting? Anybody know?
It's letting.
It is letting. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now I just narrowed that space, and now I'm going to go ahead and scale that up even more, right? Because I want a lot of real estate on this font. I'm just going to kind of center it up. There we go. Right? So now we can deselect that. So we've got like a nice big font. All right. And so let's bring in, remember your jump backs that you used on project 2? Let's go ahead and import one of those, right? This is just an example. You can do this with any font, with any image, etc. You can even do it with shapes and stuff. Let's go to, I think that was project 2, right? Project 2, hang on. Summer 2025, project 2, right? You should have your jump backs in there. You don't have to bring them all. Let's bring in the green liquid gobs. This should work pretty good, right? Let's open that up, right? So bring that in. Remember that? If you play that, it's this thing, right? So drag that down to video 1. Right, it's going to be much longer than our title, obviously, so I'm just going to trim that back. Right, so this is what you would get by default, right? You put the title over the background. The alpha gives you that transparency, but now we're going to take advantage of those alpha channels, and we're going to key out the white. We're going to select white, and we're going to punch this background through the white. Okay. And again, this is just one example of working with keys, mats, etc. So we're going to go to Effects, Video Effects. Going to go down to that keying subfolder, right, where we worked with the color key. And now we're going to grab the track mat. And we're going to apply that on the jump back, right? So however you want to do it, you can select it here, drag it up here. I'm just going to drag it down to the jump back, and then when I go into effects control, it shows up. Let me collapse that. There it is. Pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of properties here to manipulate. The mat, you have 3 options. None, which is the current option, and then you have to direct it to where you want it to go, right? So it's giving you 2 or 3. There's nothing on 3. 2 seems pretty obvious, but you might have something on 3. So what you're telling it is, I want you to select those pixels and replace it. So I'm going to hit video 2, and it does that. And then instead of the jump back behind it, you have black, which is now alpha. Okay. And this should be matte alpha. Let's see. Yeah, that doesn't seem to make a big difference. That might have a difference if there's like a brightness, but I usually just keep that on matte alpha. Okay, and so now, there you go. And now you can go back into your title, and you can still add, for example, motion, right? So if you wanted to do a scale or a position change, right, you can go back, you can just have it, zoom up, do whatever. You can do any effects on that. Okay, so that's another way to play around, make some more organic titles if you want. You could use this for your credits or whatever, however you want to use it. Okay. And I'm going to show you a little bit more here, but go ahead and play with that. There's actually a pretty fun exercise on the Adobe Learn website. Sometimes I've used it in class, but I don't want to burn up too much time on this kind of stuff. And I think I've shared that link. Those are all tutorials, which are great. And you can, feel free to use them, now and beyond. All right. This making sense for everybody? Okay. Everybody was able to get that? You don't have to use that jump back. If you can't find that jump back, you could find any image. You could create like a color matte gradient and make it spin around and, bring, shoot through whatever you want. This is basically just like what we did on the color key when we cut out the white and then reflected that. Okay, so now let's go back in. So now let's say, okay, well, I like this, but I don't want the black. I want like another background behind it. Sure, you can do that. So first off, let's go ahead and click and drag and select that. You don't want to move it yet because we're gonna free up a layer. So select it and then right click and let's do a nest. This is another application with the nest. Right, and then it's going to ask you, I'm going to call it track mat key big show or something like that, right? So that saves that sequence in my project panel, right? And in my main sequence here, exercise, it contracts it down, right? It compacts it. So now I'm going to push that up onto 2. Right? And you don't want to move it the first time. So like if you had done this, if you move it up, then that track mat key is looking at the wrong thing. You would have to switch it to 3, right? So this is the better workflow, right? Hang on, let me just close that out so I don't get confused. Right? So you do it first, you consolidate it, so to speak, and then move it on 2. And then now you can bring in like another background. Let's say you want to bring in another jump back. Let me get one of those blue ones or something, just like a solid blue that might work. Again, this is just an example. So I've got, there's a blue, I can bring it down and put it below it, right? And I'm gonna do a Control K here just to cut that jump back to get rid of it. All right, and so again, you can do now whatever you want with that title. And so now you're taking advantage of an effect, sub layers, taking advantage of nesting. A pretty simple example of nesting, right? Anybody ever played with this before? You may have, if you've worked with like Photoshop and some other stuff, there's masking and matte effects and that kind of stuff. So, okay. All right, so this is this is just another technique, and you're gonna see examples of some of the of this in some of the samples we'll take a look at later. Okay. So I forgot to do one thing before we jumped out of project 4. We're going to go back to project 4. Maybe I'll just, I'm just going to import the export here, right? Just keep it simple. Because I want to show you, for example, how you could use one of those graphic templates. All right. So if you want, you can follow me or you can just watch. I'm going to go ahead and import what I just exported on project 4. I'm going to have to create a separate sequence, right? Because it's going to look really small in this current sequence. All right, so let me import this. Okay, there's my export. Of course, if I drop it in here, right, it's going to look tiny, right? So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new sequence. And I'll go to, let's see, broadcast. No, I'm going to go to legacy here. This should give me DV24P right here, 48. Let's see, that's 24 frames, 720 by 480. So that's what I want here, if you're following me. So we went into legacy. way down here in the. Am I not sharing?
No.
I'm not sharing. Sorry. I'm still in the news mode. Okay, here we go. Let's go back. Okay, why is that there? Okay, let me do this again. Right, so I imported my project 4, what I just exported, right? That's right here. Going to do a new sequence, right? And when I get the menu, so to speak, we're not going to do HD. I'm going to collapse that. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, legacy. This is what they had for years until more of that 4K and social media and all this stuff popped out. You can see here, right? It's got different sequences for that. Anyway, we're going down here to DV24P because this is 24 frames progressive. And we're going to do 48 kilohertz. Generally for TV, if you ever look at this, you 3248, you want 48 for the audio. Okay? That's the basic like bit rate. Okay? Anyway, so we're going to do 24p standard 48, and you can see that's 24 frames, 720, 480. Okay, we're going to hit OK. All right, so I'm going to just call this, I'm going to call this just 720, 480 sequence, right, or whatever. All right, so I'm going to grab that, put it in. Change sequence settings, keep existing. Well, I guess it's interpreting that might be a better format. So I'm going to go with that. It's going to update that. Okay. Audio is on 2. I'm just going to push it on 1. Okay. All right. So, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this differently. My bad. First off, I'm going to close off my title panel. I'm going to completely kill this. I'm actually going to drag it in here. And I'm just going to resize it because what's going to happen is I can work with the 720, but the graphic templates are HD, right? And so, and you can resize them, but that's more work. So I'm just going to go ahead and scale this up. Yeah, it'll be a little bit, whatchamacallit, scale.
Zoomed in.
Hang on a second. Hang on, I'm actually going to adjust this a little bit. Hang on. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. So that's going to be the way it is. Okay. It'll be a little distorted, but that's fine. Okay. Hang on a second here. So we got it good. Okay. Save that. Hang on. Oh, so what's the matter? Hang on. Oh, what's the matter? Okay. All right, so now we got this more or less kind of 16 by 9. Okay. And we're gonna bring in something here on where Caleb is talking. I'm just gonna put a little marker on there on the clip. All right. So now we'll go to graphics and I'm sorry. We're gonna go to window so we can take advantage of the graphic template. Open that window and we're going to look for what's called the lower third. I think I showed you an example of that. This is something that goes, it's like an ID that you put, hang on a second here. Hang on, I'm going to. Option there, did I? No. Okay, good. Okay, so let's expand this. So we're gonna, a lower third is like a little graphic that shows up in the lower third. So the frame, and this relates to the title safe and the action safe. You can see that, reiterating that Caleb's head doesn't go really beyond this, but you obviously you have video. So when you frame stuff, you want to keep the main action within that outer box. And then we're going to bring in a title and we're going to bring it in the lower third because the picture is broken down in thirds: lower third, middle third, top third. So lower third is a graphic that sits on top of this inner safe, title safe, just above it, and in that lower corner. Okay, so in the Adobe stock, and I would usually do free and then type in lower third. Okay, it's weird. Why does it not do this? I do it earlier and it doesn't find it here. Lower third, because this is a category that it's looking for. All right, let's go ahead and hit premium and see what comes up. Okay, so I just kind of like scrolled on this and it came up with something. Maybe it's just kind of slow. Anybody getting no match results? I don't know why I'm not getting this. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, hang on. All right, well, I brought in some templates earlier. So let me just show you what I have. So maybe because these are hills because I saved them. Okay, so here's one right here. Right? And there's a whole bunch of these. So I'm going to just go ahead and drag that and drop it into my timeline. It's going to load. It's going to take a second. Right? And then that's what it looks like. Okay? So it gives you a template, gives you some basic names, and of course it's showing up over here in your project panel, right? This is called the animated teal border lower third. Got a little color, and it has a little animation. It's already animated, so you don't have to do all that. The only thing you have to do is go into it in the effects control panel and change. You could do more, but if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and close the motion, open the graphic parameters, and then there you can go into the text controls. You got the top text and the bottom text, right? So you could change your name, right? So I'm going to click down on your name, and you can, of course, change your color, text size, your font. I think you should be able to get your font, your positioning. Okay, maybe it doesn't give you a font, but anyway, so for example, his name is Caleb. So I'm going to type his name, Nagasa, right? So I hit enter. So now if you want to preview it, it's going to take a second. Right? So it's got his name, and then you can go down, you can, change the text color, text size, text spacing, positioning. I'm not sure why it doesn't give you a different font. So I don't see that. But then bottom text, right? I'm going to say student Lake High School, right? So now we'll update, and it's got the animation. Now because it's because it's really designed for 16:9. It's a little tall, so I can adjust that. And again, box controls. So here you go, right? So you've got box controls. Let me expand that. Background with adjustment, background height adjustment. Oh, there you go. That's exactly what I was looking for. All right, so I'm going to maybe made it. Let's see. Oh, I see the background. So you can adjust that. I guess you can't go lower than that. So you could go higher. Background with adjustment, the width, right? Background opacity, so you can play with that a little bit if you want to, you know, kind of like have it semi-opaque. I'm going to do like 80%. Line color, right? So you can, you know, let's say their school is like their red color, background color, that. And then you could also, right here, in motion, you could do scale, expand that, deselect that uniform scale, and you can adjust the height only if you want to make it a little skinnier. See how I can make it a little skinnier, the overall thing, and then I can reposition it and bring it down in that lower third, maybe even over right in that little corner. So it's not kind of like, it's not competing with his chin, right? So anyway, so that's, and now you would just render it, right? Well, we'll just render a section of this, save it, and go ahead and render it. So if you're doing anything like this, take advantage of these. You don't have to, you can create your own if you want, right? You could create it, you know, in Premiere if you want. You could nest, you know, you could create a background layer, a name, a subtitle or whatever, and then you could nest it and then animate it if you want. Okay, so now we'll play it through. Save it.
As a freshman, when I came into high school, I knew how to do nothing. All I knew was like pick up a camera and go shoot something and have fun with it.
So they still have to.
It's kind of hiccuping, but you can see the idea there. Let me clear that out.
High school, I knew how to do nothing. All I knew was like pick up a camera and go shoot something and have fun with it.
So they still have to capture more B-roll, or they have enough.
And as the years
So
went
obviously, if you, well, it's much longer than when he's up. So I would go ahead and you want to get out when he's done, because you're only going to use that when he's on camera, right? So should be able to cut it right here. It should. Yeah, there you go.
go shoot something and
Yeah,
have
there you go. So now,
all I knew was like pick up a camera and go shoot something and have fun with it.
So they still have to.
right? So there you go. You could also add a transition on that if you want, etc. So there's another basic example, another resource that you can take advantage in the graphic templates. All right, and you can play with that. All right. As you can see, we're looking at Project 4. We've got 3 tracks of audio, right? Now, the master meters only gives you a composite that's coming out of the timeline, right? So you don't know specifically how high each level is, right?
Audio board and stuff like that.
You kind of see a little
keep it more interesting.
But now, and this usually comes up. If not, you can pull it up in the window, audio clip mixer, right? Audio meters, that's that. So right here, if you open that up, let's see, there you go. So it's going to show you those 3 individual layers when you play it through. Watch.
As a freshman, when I came into high school, I knew how to do nothing. All I knew was like pick up a camera and go shoot something and have fun with it.
So they still have to capture more B-roll, or they have enough.
And as the years went on, I got to come in the studio, use
So,
some of the
you
TV
can see
stuff
right
we-
there, you have Caleb on audio 1. When you have that natural sound for the B-roll, you see it here, and the music is down here, right? So like right this section, You can see her pop.
Do they still have to capture more B-roll, or they have enough?
And as the years went on, I got to come in the studio, use some of the TV stuff we have. We got to use the digital cameras. We actually got to use mixers, audio board, and stuff like that. And that actually deepened my interest in television. And then it just kept on building.
And it's very dynamic. You could see the sliders moving up and down. And so this is also, if you ever get like distortion over here on the right, right? Let me go back here. Effects. Let's just go back to source for a minute. So we don't see that for a minute. I'm gonna jack up, for example, my music, right? I'm gonna really turn it up, maybe so it's gonna be like super loud, right?
It just kept on building.
Okay, so that's like way blown out. Okay, let me make it a little bit less obvious. Okay.
And then it just kept on building.
So for some reason, let's say you get that is like super distorted, right? That's too loud. And maybe you can't tell by just looking at your timeline, right? It's giving you a composite. So you can always go here and you can see what track is the culprit, right? Play it through.
And stuff like that. And that actually deepened my interest in television. And then it just kept on building.
So you can see right there, it's the music.
Television, and then it just kept on building.
So you need to turn that down. Okay. So I'm going to bring that back down to like, I think I had it a little bit below 0, but let's
It
see.
just kept on building. In today's world,
That's not bad. That's fine. Okay. So there you go. So you can now, you can check that level.
stuff like that, and that actually deepened my interest in television, and then it just kept on building. In today's world, I mean, technology.
Okay. So that's access to audio mixers, and in the effects, okay. I don't want to mess up my sequence too much. I have a copy here. I'm going to open up my copy, right? And in effects, you have, well, you obviously have audio transitions. It's really just a crossfade, right? But you have audio effects here. So you can, if you need to like equalization, right? You've got some various simple parametric, etc. So you can mess around here. You want to do a little bit of delay, you can do that. You can boost something a little bit. You've got reverb if you're trying to give like a live, feel. Again, some of these take a little bit more work than others. So we can push forward on 5. You've only got a week to get Project 5 in, which is next Thursday. Remember, that's our last class. Our last class. I'm going to put a big email with big font saying that's our last class. Okay, so speaking of Project 5s, let's jump into taking a look at some things here. We're just going to watch a few excerpts. Hang on a second here. Where are my Project 5 samples? There we go. Let's see. Try not to repeat anything we've watched. Let me show you. Let's see. And we've watched a few samples, right? And I've got some on Project and I've got some on Blackboard. Here we go. Let's take a look at a couple here. And we can watch some more on Tuesday, even though we're only a couple days away. Here's one. This kind of in the vein of what Zora just did. And again, your Project 5 can be kind of an extension of Project 3 if you want, right? But now you're going to be able to, use video. So you're not limited to stills. So if you're thinking like, I kind of want to do like another Project 3, that's fine. But now you're not limited to only still images, right? You can incorporate other stuff. Anyway, we'll do an excerpt on this. Here we go.
When I look back on my life, I wonder how the hell some of us are still in one piece. I don't mean just physically, but mentally as well. I was born in the late 80s, specifically when Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up was huge. It came out blue and my mom nearly died in childbirth. One of my ankles needed some sort of brace after I came out. Seeing as how my immigrant parents knew little English after arriving in the late 70s, early 80s,
Mira, está chaparrito, latino, tiene un bigotón y tiene una camisa azul con una corbata.
She says he's tall, white, blonde hair, blue eyes, no mustache, and no tie.
I was never able to find out. I chalk it up to being lucky/blessed that the doctors knew what they were doing. Fast forward to the early 90s, and my parents were able to bring my siblings over from El Salvador. Up until then, I kept calling my parents by their nicknames, Tancho and Lila. This 7-member family lived in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment up until 1997. My siblings' description of me back then can be summed
Anyway.
up as an...
This is there's a lot of imagery here, you know, a lot of research. He wrote this himself, so it's pretty funny. You know, let's see. Let's play a little bit more here.
This was a bit of a blur. I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but I recall several bee stings, a few dodged cars while walking to school, and hearing about the Columbine shooting that would be the harbinger for the beginning of routine mass school shootings. Not long after that, I recall seeing my mother fill up jugs of clean water and filling the bathtub as well, thanks to the fear of...
Anyway, lots of imagery. He, like I said, he's basically breaking down his whole life. Lots of images, some overlays, lots of edits. So lots of sources. Good, you know, good triple box there. You know, playing with existing footage. Lots of different variations, juxtaposition. Good ending.
and hope that the generations after me can stand on millennial shoulders to affect change for the better. That's my experience. It may not be typical, or maybe it is. I don't know. Either way, take care out there.
Anyway, so that's an approach, right? And so again, you may not want to write your own material, but ask for elementary color. Thank you, Tony, for sharing the learning about digital editing techniques. It's fascinating. Okay, song. Okay, speaks volumes. Oh, okay. You guys were talking about that. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Anyway, this is one example. Lots of imagery. And I'm going to show you another one. So that was like a personal story. Then we're going to go back here and go into, this is like a current event. I don't think I've shown you this one. This has a lot of, this tackles a, I think I have this posted on Blackboard if you haven't watched it. So this tackles a social issue, right? We'll watch a little bit of it. And this incorporates stills and video.
Frenzy, an estimated 116 million shoppers hitting the stores. Bedlam in the aisles of some of the nation's biggest retailers. Shoppers fighting over garments at this Victoria's Secret in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Deep discounts triggering a free-for-all.
The stampede over Sherpa jackets, people seen shoving each other. One sales rep climbing on a table to escape the crowd.
In an isolated
So you can see this is kind of about consumerism, materialism, you know, whatever, clothing, and very good mix. Lots of different types of images, stills, video, and then she does these cutouts. Very good beginning, middle, and end. It builds some video effects, a lot of motion effects, and very good control of audio. Got narration from different like sources, news sources, and music. Play. And you don't have to read these things, but you get the idea. Anyway, a little bit of over information, which is kind of the idea. And then we get into towards the end, seeing the cause and effect of some of this. So this is a very good beginning, middle, and end. So it shows that, and then also relatively good use of black, not too long, but just kind of like giving you a second to punctuate. So she shot this, they shot them themselves. This is fast motion. I can show you how to do fast motion. It's pretty easy. It's in that speed duration window. And
In an isolated system, entropy can only increase. In an isolated system, entropy can only increase. In an isolated system,
so there's a track mat, incorporating that. And then so that's a nice technique also to incorporate like a separate piece of music for your titles, you know? Thank you. I'm just going to tease the name 6G. Hope it. Okay, Google. Okay, there's that link. Okay, you guys are talking about that. Okay, so that's another example, and we're almost done. I'm going to show you a couple things to not do real quick. I don't want to keep you too late. Okay. I'll cover some of this next week. Here's an example of something not to do. Okay. So I don't want anybody getting too committed to something. Wait, I don't think I'm sharing. Hang on. Sure, I'm sharing. Okay. First off, this is vertical.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below.
So at the beginning, you've got me with the Led Zeppelin. I'm a big Zeppelin guy, but and it seems like it's going in a direction, but it's just kind of like wandering video, right? So don't just fill the and then here it's like I don't even know what happened here. It's like half the video is cut off. Again, if you've shot vertical, I'm not gonna if you've already got that material and that's all you have, that's fine. I can show you a technique on Monday that can make this a little better, where you can put that same layer behind it and spread it out and blur it. And so it's kind of like a technique that we deal with. So, this is just random, no real direction. Also, don't do this. This is I know a lot of people are gamers.
Welcome to
just
the
do
world
like
of League
this
of Legends, where
video about
strategy
like a
meets
video
skill.
game.
In this tutorial, we'll guide you through your first steps as a summoner, using a simple story format to make it easier to understand. Let's embark on this journey together. Meet Christian. Today, Christian
Now I covered up him, so this is
diving into the
just
realm of
like a narration, and he maybe we're like dissolving between different scenes, but there's no real editing. Maybe like a couple titles, maybe that, but don't do this.
experience. Last hitting.
Don't this is not really editing. You're not manipulating this, right? You want to really
Christian
be
will continue to
manipulating it,
use this gold lead to extend his
right?
lead.
So hopefully that is clear, right? Now I'm going to show you an example of something that does work, where somebody did a video game and they definitely manipulated it and added some a little bit customization for that. Hang on, let me go back. Okay. All right, and then we'll get out of here after this. So this is a I would consider a good example of working with a video game and making it your own.
Elden Ring, a game notorious for its absurd difficulty. It's also known for letting you do stuff like this. Oh! And that's honestly not fair to the enemies in this game. So I figured, why not just make things a little bit more fair to them and make it so that I can't see? It's not really a blindfold, it's more like a face mask that I'm gonna put on my eyes. Don't worry, it's clean. I'm gonna be fighting a few bosses here without my eyesight, and of course to do that properly, I'm gonna need to set some ground rules. Rule number 1, I can walk to the boss fight with my blindfold off if I need to. Rule number 2, I must absolutely be blindfolded for the entire duration of the fight, no matter what happens. And rule number 3, I cannot use any summons to help me. This includes the NPCs that are included in the game. Okay, everybody ready to go? Let's get started. I don't even know where it is. Is it here? Is it behind me? Do you see me? Oh shoot. Did I do it? Oh god. Okay, that's bad. Yep, probably don't want to do that.
So you can see, obviously, this student has manipulated. He's doing some edits. He's using a little sound effects. He's incorporating him, and I think he pretty much did a green screen here, and then replaced that background with some kind of like video layer. Anyway, so lots of punctuation. It's funny. He adds his own titles. It keeps you engaged. It's not just like video game, transitioning between just like the screen. Okay. So hopefully that gives you a little direction. I'm going to show you some other examples on Tuesday. Otherwise we are done, and I'll try to bring up some AI stuff as well on Tuesday. And yeah, any other questions tonight? Okay, otherwise we're good to go. Any questions about submitting stuff, let me know. But please do your best to try to get Project 3 in. Again, it doesn't have to be 3.5 minutes. You can make it 2.5 minutes if you want to just make it shorter. Okay. Make it like 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and then make your credits like 15 seconds. You make it like 2.5 minutes, and you're done. And you meet that requirement. Okay. All right. The rubric is on the Project 3 sheet and Project 5 as well. And I think that's it. I don't want to keep everybody later.